Welcome to this Friday morning monk chat at the Empty Cloud Monastery. We have two wonderful visitors with us, two seminaries visiting the monastery this week. And Bhante Simita, who you have seen around here recently, will be returning to the live streams very shortly, but not today. We can begin by giving respect to the triple gem. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammam sangham namasami. Okay. Um, welcome, Rebecca and Madeline, Maria, Kauser friends on Manal. There's a question here from Rebecca. In the Wednesday morning Sutta study, I spoke about dukkha as the factor which brings about faith. Is that because dukkha potentially motivates one to take up the noble search? An excellent question. So this is a very famous and heart-touching or heart-rending sutta presentation called the Upanisa Sutta in the dependent origination. It presents the it presents the downhill slide of dependent origination, starting from ignorance and culminating in suffering. And that is through the usual 12 factors of dependent origination. But then the Upanisa Sutta, instead of the culmination of that downhill slide being birth, old age, sickness, and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair, it simply says that the nadir, the bottom of that sled is dukkha. And then the next step is shifting into an upward spiral of positive, beautiful factors and stages leading to awakening. And it said that dependent on dukkha is saddha, or faith. This is something that we can puzzle about. As you write, it's true that for the bodhisattva, that dukkha motivated him to take up the noble search, to seek for the end of suffering, and to use all of his courage and all of the assets from the paramis that he'd developed through so many lifetimes to take up that search and do it successfully. We might experience it differently because of living in the time when the Dhamma is available, when the teachings of Sama Sambuddha are available to us. So one way that I like to look at it is we have tried every which way to stop dukkha. We've tried to control it. We've tried to use our willpower. We've tried to use sensual pleasure. We've tried to use escapism. We've tried to use every possible thing we could think of, and every method that we have attempted to give up to get out of this cycle of suffering has failed, and then we might let go of trying to do it by our own power and be willing to turn to another. Um, so, in Christianity, I think sometimes they say, let go and let God. So, you let go of trying to solve your problem with your own willpower, and you turn to that other power in Christianity of God. In the case of Buddhism, what we hear so often as being how a person gets out of suffering, they encounter an enlightened being. Or if they don't encounter a Buddha, they encounter an Arahant. And if they don't encounter an Arahant, they encounter somebody who has some stage of awakening. Or if they don't encounter somebody who has some stage of awakening, they encounter somebody who's a faithful faith follower of the Dhamma, who has well learned and well understood the suttas and is able to convey the teachings of the Buddha. And even as weaker link as following somebody who's a faithful reciter, who's able to remember and explain this path to awakening, that by itself can be enough. And then having seen in an actual other person the possibility of escape from dukkha, one becomes disenchanted with suffering and willing to let go of the cause of suffering. And with that starts the positive cycle given in the Upanishad Sutta. It goes from faith to joy, pamoja, and from joy to piti, or the bliss of seclusion from the hindrances, and from piti to passaddhi, or tranquility, from passaddhi to I'm not sure I have them all correctly, samadhi, and then from there's a turning point in that, in which comes in that upward spiral. The most important turning point is called Yata Bhuta Jnana Dasana, where one has the opening of the Dhamma eye and sees things as they actually are, in terms of conditioning or in terms of the Four Noble Truths. That stage might be gaining the stream entry, or could be gaining the stream entry path. And then from there, one becomes supercharged and superpowered on the path to freedom, capable of having craving fade away, letting go completely, and not experiencing freedom. So that's the reason for that. Thank you for that good question. While we wait for a question to come online, I would accept a question from the room.
Can you talk about the Devanusati?
The question is to contemplate, as to explain Devanusati, or the contemplation of the Devas. The Devas are the gods. They are the immaterial beings who have accumulated great merits in the past, who are bright, um, radiant beings. Um, there's two different kinds of radiant beings. One is called devas, and they are still in the same, in Buddhist cosmology, in the same realm of existence as we are. So they're part of the Kamaloka, um, which means they're um, connected with pleasures and pains related to the senses. But in the human realm, we experience a mixture. The things that we see, hear, taste, touch, smell, and think are a mixture of pleasant things and unpleasant things and neutral things. And it's because of that mixture, the unpleasant things we experience gives us motivation, and the pleasant things we experience gives us hope. Or you could look at it that way. But in the Deva realm, everything they see is beautiful. Everything they hear is lovely. Everything they smell is delightful. Everything they taste is tasty and wonderful. Everything they touch is soft and nice, and everything they think is nice. And it's some people think that for that reason, devas, uh, if they're not a disciple of the Buddha, if they don't know about um, the way to the end of suffering, they can get into that realm and they just enjoy the pleasure of being in heaven for as long as their good karma lasts, and then eventually they fall down and they'll go back to a lower realm. So in that way, the Deva realm is not that fortunate. On the other hand, for one who is a disciple of the Buddha who's on the path, it's quite possible. One of the outcomes that can happen to a disciple of the Buddha is to be reborn in the Deva realm, and then from there be obtain their full awakening, their nibbana, from within the Deva realm. It's for that reason that we very often see in the suttas that in the middle of the night, a deva of astounding beauty appears before the Buddha and asks some Dhamma question. Why are they asking the Dhamma question? Because they still have the spiritual urgency for awakening. They still have the um, ability to hear and understand, to penetrate dukkha and to get beyond uh, sensual craving, even though they're existing in the Deva realm. Um, I've never heard of well, there is another kind of meditation called Brahmavihara meditation. So the Brahmas are a different kind of Deva. They're in a different realm of existence, which is higher and more refined than the uh, uh, realm of desire that we're in. The Kamaloka that we live in is the realm of desire. The Brahma realm is free from sensual desire. They're not worried about that anymore. And their life consists completely of uh, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. That's their practice day in and day out. Those gods in the Brahma realm only have one little defect left, and that is they're still have some delusion and a bit of a conceit. So you sometimes see stories about gods in the Brahma realm who, um, if you go to the Sangha, you go up in the Brahma realm and you ask some question that you have, some Dhamma question that you have, and the God answers, I am the Almighty, I am the All Powerful. And they say, yes, sir, but could you answer my question? And he says, I am Almighty, I'm all powerful. And then finally, after 3 times, he says, um, don't let the others know, but actually, I don't know the answer to your question. You have to find the Buddha. Go find the Buddha and ask him the question because he knows the answer. So, so um, this little bit of delusion that they have, but nevertheless, there are beings in the Brahma realm who are disciples of the Buddha, who visit the Buddha, who want to have Dhamma discussion with the Buddha. This very frequently happens. The Buddha goes up to that room and teaches them about the Dhamma, and they come down and ask their questions down here. And even the Brahma Sahampati, who um, approached the newly enlightened Buddha shortly after his enlightenment, he didn't have the motivation to, or he was thinking it would be too difficult to explain the Dhamma, to teach the Dhamma. And that Brahma god came to him and says, Venerable Sir, there are beings in the world who have little dust in their eyes who can become enlightened if you'll only teach them. And I didn't see this in the sutta, but the story that I have in my mind about this is that Brahma has been waiting for eons for enlightenment. The only thing that was holding back from enlightenment was there was not a Buddha to tell him what to do to complete his journey towards full awakening. And so therefore, when a Sama Sambuddha comes into being, he knows the urgency of it. And so not only is he requesting on behalf of all the beings in our world, but he might have been requesting on his own behalf because he had the desire for his own awakening. Um, in general, if you happen to see a deva, it's a being of astounding beauty. And it's a being who's the embodiment of goodness because they've done so many good meritorious deeds to get to that state. Um, this is a theory of aesthetics that goodness and beauty are really close together. That there's nothing more beautiful than true goodness, and that contemplation of beauty can make the heart move towards goodness. And so my idea about the Devanusati is to lift up the heart, to make the heart bright, to make the heart beautiful, to bring up a positive energy, and that would be to bring oneself out of um, a dark or depressed state of mind, or to bring one out of a, 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 a sluggish state of mind, to bring energy to the mind. The person who asked this question has been studying the Mahapuripota, which is the traditional long chanting, which is very much loved in the Sri Lankan traditions. And there's quite a lot of suttas and other devotional teachings that relate to the gods that have been brought together into that collection because the people enjoy contemplating the devas. It just makes them happy. And I'll tell you another personal story and then wrap this up. Um, there's one particular sutta that's very devotional about this one's about the greatness of the Buddha. And when I was new, I was just learning these suttas and these verses, and I was kind of like not really catching the benefit of of that particular sutta until one time I was staying at a Sri Lankan temple where they had some late night chanting. And when the bhikkhuni began chanting that sutta, all the Sri Lankan people got these big smiles, and they were like, it was like the way Christians feel about Christmas. So they were just like so much joy, so much uplift, um, and just from the contagious happiness of the people on hearing that sutta, I I was able to get the connection with the power of the uplifting contemplation of these kind of inspiring themes. Yeah, so that's what I have to say about that. Gregory says, I have heard different learned monastics argue both sides convincingly about free will. How does the practitioner avoid fatalism while understanding the non-self nature of the mind? So uh, the will would be like intention or chaitana, and it would be the intentional things that people do. Bhante Sujato translates uh, uh, sankhara in the meaning of intentions as choices. So the intentional choices that a person makes uh, determine what karma is going to result from that, or what the nature is of that karma and what kind of fruit is going to result from that. So uh, the fatalist aspect is that when you choose a particular choice, that the result will follow afterwards inevitably. So the fatalism is that you cannot get a happy result from an unwholesome deed, and you cannot get a painful result from a wholesome deed. If you do mixed deeds with mixed motives, then you can get a mixture of results. So truly the Buddhist fatalism is like what I have right now, where I was born, what kind of body I have, what kind of mind I have, what kind of personal history that I can remember, uh, uh, what kind of underlying tendencies I have, what mental habits I have. Uh, all of that is the fruit of the previous choices that I have made. And so it's got that inevitability or that fatalism as being a result of the previous choices. But the next choice that I make, and actually all of the choices that I made in the past, were choices that I had the uh, ability to choose. That's what makes them evolutions. So I don't believe that um, the Buddha ever expressed any doubt or question that um, a person can uh, choose their their acts of body, speech, and mind. So that's where the free will is in Christians. Some of the previous systems um, felt um, were like a very puzzled by this problem of free will and how to get out of any previous stain that might be on their soul, um, and prevent them from gaining liberation. And they had like a lot of different theories about how to escape from fate. But this is the Buddha's kind of unique invention, is that karma, Chaitanya is karma, and there are karmas that produce um, pleasant results, karmas that produce neutral results, and there also are karmas that you can do that lead towards the end of karma. So the karmas that you do, the choices that you make that are going onwards on the gradual training path, um, those are karmas that are leading you to the state where you can come out of that loop. Here's another question. Recently, while meditating on impermanence, I noticed experience becoming more fluid and less labeled, becoming a bit incomprehensible at times. Is this a useful direction to keep exploring? Thank you for that great question. I think I know just what you're talking about. So, when the vijnana cognizes an object, it creates in the mind uh, an image of that object which will have the qualities of compactness and boundaries. So if I see, like there's a person in front of me, I see that person, and the entire shape of that body, I recognize that it's all part of that person. So I don't feel like that person is sort of like all over the room and, you know, she's in the clock and she's in the lights and she's in the flowers. No, I see her as being compactly within the boundary of that shape. And so every inch of that person from head to toe has got a name, which is that person's name. So that this is what consciousness is doing. And there's that clear boundary between what is that person, part of that person, and what's apart from that person. So when we see impermanence, this process of consciousness of creating these objects, uh, that's the process of perception. What the consciousness is doing, you see the impermanence of that, and you see how the perceptions are falling apart. And as the perceptions are falling apart, you could have the experience that the things that you're experiencing in meditation seem to be like dissolving and falling apart. And um, clearly understanding that process is of great help to come to the knowledge of non-self, because you can just see that the what's attributing a self or an essence to any object that you perceive is only just something that the mind is doing, something that consciousness is doing, and it's artificial, it's impermanent, and it's continuously falling apart. You might also notice that when you emerge from meditation, when you have to do something, uh, that your mental ability to quickly and efficiently fabricate um, objects that are useful for you to do the things that you need to do, it all comes right back, and you can operate in the world very easily and very effectively, just as if um, you were a self, and all the other things and objects and people all around also have their essence like that. And on a sort of practical level, you can operate that way, but you never again will you believe that those are really truly permanent, defined essences, because you've had the experience of seeing all of it continuously falling apart in meditation. Uh, okay, some nights I don't eat because I prefer not to bother with its accompanying tasks, and think to myself, I am practicing renunciation of craving. Is this correct wisdom or just laziness, please? If you don't bother eating and you just lay about and um, have a nap, that could be laziness. But if you skip eating and you keep your mind fully engaged in mindfulness, fully engaged in practice, fully engaged in activities that are beneficial to you, beneficial to others, beneficial to both. In that case, it's not laziness, it's just letting go of an unnecessary activity in order to do a different activity that's more beneficial. So that's a kind of making a good choice. And so if you don't need food in the evening to sustain the body, then giving that up is a good kind of renunciation, that you're only taking the meals with the frequency that you need to sustain your body. But if you do need the food to sustain your body and you skip eating, let's say you go fasting for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days or something like that, it is possible. You should really examine your motives and make sure that you're not harming yourself with that kind of extended fasting. I realize that extended fasting is not generally recommended by the Buddha. It's not indicated as one of the ascetic practices, the Dhutanga practices that are advised by the Buddha. But nevertheless, I realize that there are circumstances in which a fast of longer than one day is a practice that people can choose to do. That can be for their health. It can be for their seclusion. If you would go into the forest, and if you're a layperson, you're allowed to do this. You can just pick the tender young growing tips off the tip of a pine tree and eat them like a salad. They're filled with vitamin C, and you can cook them in water and make a nutritious drink. And that way you could, live in the forest for a longer amount of time without, without needing to go to the village to get food or starting a farm or something in order to get food. Sometimes people fast for a moral reason to as a way of communication. Like if a person is unjustly imprisoned, sometimes they may go on a hunger strike in order to persuade the world about the moral point that they're trying to make. And I don't say that it's wrong to do something like that, as long as intentional fasting is done safely, properly, in a way that's not harming your life and not harming anybody else. Good morning. How to best deal with hatred coming from family members? That's a very interesting question, and for some reason, I'm. There was a very similar question that came to me recently from somebody who wrote, "I'm grouchy all the time, and I'm especially grouchy towards my family. How can I do about it?" So, these are two sides of the same point. And the advice that I will give is to uh, one of the greatest modern Dhamma teachers who's got very practical teaching that's compatible with Western mentality and deeply grounded in the Dhamma is Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh. He has one book entitled Anger, and he has another small book entitled How to Fight. And uh, both of those books have very specific advice about how to contemplate in your own heart when you feel that you've been hurt and harmed by other people's anger. And it has very specific and beautiful advice, um, explicit advice about how to speak to somebody uh, to tell them that you have been hurt by their speech or their behavior without escalating a conflict. So I'd very much advise looking into those books in general from the suttas, um, and many different suttas about right speech advise that uh, one should be cautious about being too opinionated about our view of what's right and wrong and falling into being angry at somebody who doesn't agree with our opinions, to and try to investigate that like with an open mind and say, well, they might be right, or to look at their speech and behavior with a sympathetic eye, and to think, well, there must be some reason why they speak like that. There must be some reason why they behave like that. Uh, what are they trying to protect? Are they afraid of something and that's why they act like that? Are they wanting something and that's why they act like that? And if they're afraid of something, can I make them not be afraid of that? Or if they want something, is this something that I'm able to give if I'm really open-minded? Um, or if they're simply speaking in an unwholesome, unskillful, dangerous way because of their being deluded and misguided, and the thing that would be the most beneficial for them is actually to come out of their delusion and to change their way of thinking. And so then you want to ask them to change, right? This is where it's hard. Somebody's hurt me and I want them to change. Okay, so don't make your happiness contingent on them changing. You've got to practice kindness for yourself and make yourself whole. Um, uh, find where your own happiness is, regardless of what anybody else says or does. And when you become stabilized internally like that, then you can let go of your own anger towards that person for what they've done to you. And when you've let go of that anger and developed a heart of loving kindness over that person for what they've done to you, um, then you may be able to find a way to speak skillfully to help them to come out of their mistakes. Um, it is sometimes necessary to step away from somebody who's toxic, to get out of that relationship, to leave that job, to leave that family, to separate from that person if they're really toxic for you. If there's a situation that's abusive, sometimes part of the loving speech is actually to name the abuse. Sometimes it's to name the abuse and step away. even if such strong steps are what's necessary for your own um, welfare and to protect your own um, psychological stability, so you'll be able to grow in the Dhamma, uh, you should look for the time and place where it's possible to get a reconciliation with that person. Maybe it can be done quickly and easily. Maybe it might take a timeout, and maybe it might be like years later that the situation has evolved, that you are finally able to really forgive and have a reconciliation with that person. You should try to do it if you can. Even if the harm has been really severe, you should try to look for the opportunity to uh, uh, remedy the break that's happened with somebody because of their um, hateful speech or behavior. You know, it's like we're the religion of peace and happiness, and yet there's so much in the sutta which is about hatred and misery. Because this is almost, it's like a um, almost universal aspect of the human life that from time to time we do experience hatred coming at us, or we experience hatred within us. And so if it's within us, we got to take care of it. And if it's coming at us, uh, we can become so spiritually mature that it doesn't really touch us. It doesn't really shake up our own happiness. And we're able to respond from a place of wisdom. Okay. Ashish, oftentimes in meditation, I'm unable to discern between observation and suppression. Is this common? How might one cultivate true observation? Uh, I would say there are two different things that could fall under the English word observation. One is with the samasati, with mindfulness, a person is present for their own inner experiences, everything from the sensation touching the body or the sensations contacting any of the sense gates to the different formations or thoughts that happen in the mind, the different feeling states and so forth, to mindfully be aware. And that process of mindfulness has got um, an attitude of openness, welcome, and accepting. So when a person is practicing mindfulness, they should clearly notice whatever's arising, even if it's skillful or if it's unskillful, if it's pleasant or if it's horrible. There's nothing that's not a suitable object for mindful awareness. So the awareness has got that open-minded state to be aware of anything. Um, the other stage is called investigation of Dhamma and the factors of awakening. That's the second stage. And that has a quality of being able to distinguish between what's dark and bright, what's wholesome and unwholesome, what's good and evil, what's beneficial for us and others, what's not beneficial for us and others. And when you are able to develop the faculty of investigation, and you're able to notice clearly, this will be especially about the sankharas that arise in the mind, the different thought patterns arising in the mind. If you notice that something is unskillful, that discernment all by itself can cause that unskillful object to evaporate. Um, this is elsewhere. It's described by uh, uh, my teacher, Bhante Gunaratana, as the red hot mindfulness, as if you've heated a iron skillet to a very high heat, and then when you test the heat, you take a little bit of water and you scatter a few drops of water onto the pan, and when the pan is hot, the water instantly evaporates. And just the same way, when you've got that combination of the mindfulness and investigation, the mindfulness and the discernment of what's wholesome and not wholesome, then you could find that a negative thought, an unskillful thought, instantly evaporates. That is not suppression. That's one of the skillful ways of uh, eliminating an afflictive thought. And if it doesn't um, uh, evaporate instantly like that, uh, but is a bit more persistent, then uh, uh, suppression would be uh, like a reaction to the something that you don't like by just ignoring it, right? Uh, and you have to see it first. You have to see it first, and you can see it first and then ignore it. If you see it first, you recognize it's not skillful. Uh, let's suppose uh, that's somebody. Somebody insulted me, and I think let so and so is a very insulting person, and they're always insulting people, and they have to stop doing it, or else they're going to ruin everything. And so the mind is starting to proliferate about thinking about that insulting person, and so then I recognize that this train of thought is not skillful. That there's no good arising from just blaming that situation, um, and uh, one way to uh, deal with it after clearly recognizing it and clearly seeing it, then ignore it. Just decide, make a decision to forget about it. So I don't necessarily have to um, bring that person up before a trial and put them in front of a jury and convict them of whatever they did. I can just let it go. I can make the choice to ignore it, and that's not the same thing as perception. That's one of the possibilities that's available as a skillful choice. Um, and there are other ways that are given in the sutta, um, especially like the Vitaka Santana Sutta for calming afflictive thoughts. Um, all of those techniques are ways to get rid of unwholesome thoughts, unwanted unwholesome thoughts. And it's not suppression because you mindfully, compassionately were aware of those thoughts first, and then you get rid of them. What is more important in mindfulness? Attention of surroundings, attention of my mind, or attention of my body? All of them are important. For most people, attention to the body is the first useful focus of mindfulness. It's easier to see the body than to see the mind. And the body tends to be more honest, while the mind sometimes can be deceptive. We can deceive ourselves with our thoughts or with our mind. Um, and then attention to the surroundings until one is well established in mindfulness, it can um, lead to being carried away with external objects and losing track of mindfulness. So, with mindfulness, we start with the body, then we learn how to be mindful of the pleasant, unpleasant Vedana or feeling that arises. Then we learn how to become mindful of the states of mind that arise. And if we can develop true samadhi, true concentrated meditation, it could be that the awareness of the touch of the contact on the five senses is a distraction to the unification of the meditation. And so the awareness of the five senses drops away, and one is really um, exclusively focusing on mind. That would be something that happens in jhana. But for um, if you're just practicing satipatthana, the awareness of the body is something that's always available, and it's a very good way of recentering the meditation anytime a person gets a little bit lost with a proliferation of thoughts. Then, as far as the attention of surroundings, uh, there is a contemplation to be done of each phenomena internally, externally, and both internally and externally. And so, first, establish the mindfulness, then establish awareness of the arising and cessation of that object, and then contemplate that object internally and externally. And the internal external is you can know either um, it's a, I guess you could say it's an inference because of the evidence of your senses, that like you know that you're breathing, and you also know that everybody else is breathing. And you contemplate then breathing, your own breathing, the breathing of others, the breathing of both, and you keep contemplating back and forth like that until then your sense of a personal ownership of breathing fades away, and the breathing is just breathing. It's not something that where you have that sense of this is my breathing. So that begins to wear down the delusion of self. Or if you are looking at the elements of the body, uh, staying with breathing is an aspect of the wind element, the movement. So you experience the physical breath as just the movement of the wind element, and you see that internally, and then you may know because the wind is touching your skin by inference. You may know this, or you may know this just because of a thought that the wind is blowing outside. So there's the wind inside, the wind outside, the wind inside and outside, and the mind goes just back and forth like that until the sense of the personal ownership of the wind element fades away. I'll give you another skillful way of being attentive to surroundings. This is very good if you have if you're training with a like in monastic training, you have a teacher, your master, and you're have the opportunity to be personally attending on your master, so you're always around her. Then you can be mindful of your own body, and then you can be mindful of your teacher's body. Uh, uh, your teacher may be setting an example for you of the right deportment of the body, and you examine your own mind and you examine your teacher's mind. Your teacher is giving an example of the right deportment of the mind. And so it's kind of like a part of learning. And then after developing that skill of being very sensitive, like at all times, like, is my teacher standing, sitting, walking, or lying down? You're like continuously aware of that. The same way that you're continuously aware of the posture of your own body. And then you can extend that even further by being aware of the other individuals who are part of the sangha. And in doing this, it's a way of developing a particular kind of skill in communal life of being aware of what's going on around you. That can be a great benefit in making your own speech and actions, your own choices, to be the kind of choices that are going to be harmless to oneself and harmless to others. So if you said or did something that inadvertently harmed or irritated the people around you, if you develop that kind of all-around mindfulness, you realize right away, because you get the reaction from your wise companions, and that it helps you to use the benefit of the feedback from community to grow and to purify ourselves in practice. So that's a different type of a way that the mindfulness of the surroundings, awareness of our own mind and awareness of the body can work together. It's a very nice, interesting question. Thank you for that. Ladybug asked, could I speak about samadhi as it directly relates to all the other noble truths, all of the 8 noble truths? How do we practice cultivation of right view in daily life? So all of the Eightfold Path depends on samadhi. You can't properly practice any of the Eightfold Path without first having right view. At some initial level, there's a kind of basic right view that's described as a mundane right view, where a person is, they see the reality of cause and effect, especially as it relates to happiness and suffering arising from karma. And then one sees the reality of enlightened beings, who are the models and the examples that one may follow. And there's another conventional phrase that's used as part of right view. You understand that there is mother and father. Now, you might wonder why that has to be included. It's like any dummy knows that there's mother and father. But what this is actually addressing is the materialistic fallacy that thinks that after mother and father have died from this material existence, that they have become annihilated and they don't exist anymore. So that therefore there's no benefit to be had from doing meritorious deeds and dedicating the merits for the happiness of one's deceased parents. But instead, in in Buddhism, it's taught that one should cultivate this gratitude to parents, um, understanding that how crucially they had their part in giving you life and making it possible for you to become an independent person, so that even if you carried them on your head for the rest of your life, you wouldn't pay them back. So you practice that gratitude to parents. You keep them in mind while they were alive, and then if you understand about rebirth, which is part of this mundane right view, then you understand that if your parents have not obtained Nibbana, they may have been reborn, and one can continue to um, dedicate the thought, the wish, the kind thought, the kind dedication of merits, doing good deeds with the wish, may my parents be well and happy. May they be free from suffering. May they overcome all difficulties. May they have a chance to hear the Dhamma. May they realize the Dhamma. May they finally realize the supreme peace of Nibbana. So having that thought is part of that basic mundane right view. There's another completely different explanation of the right view, which is the initial understandings of the Four Noble Truths. So understanding causation in this specific case, that there is dukkha, that dukkha is caused by craving, that dukkha should be understood, that craving should be let go, and that when craving is let go, the dukkha comes to cessation, and there is a path towards the cessation of suffering. It's very possible to get a glimpse of the Four Noble Truths. Very easy, very universal. Almost everybody I know, when they were younger, they had some really horrible self-destructive habits when they were small, immature children or teenagers or young adults. And as long as they cling on to their bad habits, they continue to go round and round with their misery. And then at some point, almost everybody I know who's on the path had an experience of realizing, just because this has been my habit for so many years, I don't have to keep it. I can put it down. I can just drop it. And as soon as I drop clinging to that unwholesome pattern, that unwholesome idea, that unwholesome belief, that unwholesome attitude, that unwholesome wish, as soon as they let go of it, stop clinging to it, they get immediate relief, instant relief. It's better than aspirin. It's instant relief from that dukkha. So to whatever extent one has let go of that clinging to that extent, like if you let go of 5 cents worth of clinging, you lost 5 cents worth of dukkha. And once you know that, then that is your samadhi right there. And with that samadhi, that's the launching pad, the rocket fuel, propelling you to go down the whole rest of the path, of the Eightfold Path. In daily life, every time you suffer, every time you have psychological suffering, psychological misery, please make this inquiry: what am I clinging to? And if you can find out that you're clinging to something that is making you miserable, then you should ask, how can I let go of this clinging? And discover the way how to let go, the practices that you can do to let go of that clinging. And that is the practical application of samadhi. So we've come to the end of our time, and I apologize for the questions that I didn't answer this time, but I know that somebody wants to offer us a meal dana, and I will invite you to save your question and ask them again next week. So we can close by saying sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.